we dive into today's program, I would like to take a moment and express a heartfelt gratitude for our guests and speakers for this evening who honor us with their presence. Dr. Maria Goretti Gonzalez, Ms. Viren Vegas, Dr. Aston, Dr. M.D. Lawrence, and Mrs. Radia Goel. Yeah. And to all of you, our passionate audience, your support and your enthusiasm, it means so much to us. I would now invite Zainab to honor our guests with a bouquet of flowers. Let's hear it up, come on. Thank you, Zainab. Sonia is an Indian-born American with roots in Pune. She currently resides in California with her husband and her son. Holding a master's degree in English literature, Sonia has a background in teaching English at both the middle and the high school in Dubai and in Pune. Her debut novel, The Speaking Thorn-Bush and the Wildflower, marks a significant entry into the literary landscape. Beyond novel writing, Sonia is also a poet, and she has a collection of her poetry. This body of work represents not only her personal milestone, but also her dedication to inspire her readers. She is enthusiastic about sharing her creative journey with all of you, and she hopes that her writing resonates on a deeper level to all those who read it. Let us all put our hands together and welcome Sonia Swami.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank each one of you present here. I would like to extend my gratitude because you choose to invest your time in my work, in my project, and that means a lot to me. But I don't know about my oratory skills. I don't know whether I'm a good orator. So I let my protagonist, Rachel, wax eloquence in the book. I, on the other hand, will keep it simple, candid, and unscripted. I want to talk to you from the heart, to connect with you from the heart, because I wrote this book from the heart. I wrote this book not only with significant research, but also my own personal experiences through the years. But before I take you on this journey of why and how I wrote this book, I have a list of acknowledgements, so please bear with me. I would like to thank the speakers for today again, personally, Dr. Goretti, Maria Goretti Gonzalez, Viren Vegas, Radia, and I would like to thank Dr. Aston, who is my professor from Nauroji Wadia College. His presence here means a lot to me. Dr. Aston taught me from the 11th right up till I finished my post-graduation in English literature. He had many fans. He was HOD for many years, and then he retired as a principal, I think, for 4 years, and he's very well known in the education circle. Thank you, sir, not only just for coming, but you taught us. You laid the foundation, and today that has borne fruit. So, you know, I am so grateful, and thank you for being here. Then I would like to thank Dr. M.D. Lawrence, who is here. Dr. Lawrence is currently the Vice Chancellor at Alana Institute of Technology. He was also principal for many years at Marathwada Mitra Mandal College of Commerce. He himself is an author. He has authored several books. And he is also my dad's cousin. So I am very happy that Dr. Lawrence is here with us this evening. Then I would like to thank my son Kevin for his unwavering, tireless effort in putting this book together. He handled all the technical part of this book, and he worked very hard with me. Without him, I wouldn't have been able to put this book together, and thank you, Kevin. Secondly, I want to thank Alisha Patel. She is my friend and neighbor from Kumar Corner. Alisha is a medical student, and she gave me her valuable inputs to make this narrative medically accurate. So thank you, Alisha. And she worked very hard with me. She was back and forth, and I really appreciate. In fact, I've acknowledged her in the book as well. And then I would like to thank my friend Sylvia Bonalis, who is a writer friend in California, Fresno, USA, for her valuable critique. She critiqued my work and gave me very good feedback and took it to the next level. So thank you, Sylvia. Another person is Bill Simmons, who is a friend of mine, a poet. He's almost nearing 90. He's a retired professor in Fresno, California. And he's quite a genius. He's penned 1,700 poems. And I met Bill at a poetry group in Fresno where I used to regularly attend the group. And he critiqued my poems. In fact, I end the book with a poem that was critiqued and edited by Bill Simmons. So thank you, Bill, because he's going to be watching it later. So all my friends in the US will be watching them. So another person I would want to thank now is Ivy, owner of Swanmai Beauty Parlor. Ivy has come, she was on board with me very early in the process. Thank you, Ivy, for your love, for your support, and your encouragement, and she made all efforts to help me. Thank you so much. Okay, then I would like to thank my friend Rudy Devanasan. Rudy and I go a long way. We are childhood friends for more than 4 decades. And Rudy helped me to promote this book. I sold quite a few copies thanks to Rudy. Thanks, Rudy. Then I would like to thank my Kumar Corner neighbors. I tell you, my neighbors are the best. They were so encouraging, so supportive. I want to thank Aisha, especially Aisha, Zainab. Aisha worked very hard with me. We did all the spade work. We put this together and made all the arrangements. So thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Afreen's family also. Thank you very much. The Patels, Ravi Jagesha. And there's one special guest who's an old neighbor. He moved out of Kumar Corner, but like I said, we have not moved out of each other's hearts. So thank you, Dinesh Mehta, for coming. Then I would like to thank my family, if they are there, Mavis and Monica, and Merlin, of course. I would like to thank my friends from St. Anne's School. It is such a joy to see all of you girls. I mean, thank you for being here. I am so overwhelmed and I'm so grateful to you for coming and being there for me. After that, I would like to thank my publisher, Miss Anaga Karade from APK Publishers. She did a fabulous job on this book. There were 3 publishers who wanted to publish my book, but I went with Anaga because she was very professional and we clicked instantly. And she and a wonderful team really did a great job, especially Komal Lalwani for the cover graphics. She was so patient and she gave me exactly what I wanted for the book cover. So thank you, Komal Lalwani, and thank you, APK Publishers and Anaga. It was a pleasure working with you on this project. Thank you so much. And the last person, but not the least, I want to thank Merlin Adam, the host for this evening. Merlin is family, of course. She is related from my dad's side and my mom's side. Merlin is incredibly talented herself. She is a performing artist and she is into research and development and works for Novanosis. So she's got a great career as well. I wouldn't have got a better host than Merlin. Thank you, Merlin, for coming on board and accepting my invitation. And we both met quite a few times and put all this together. Thank you so much. Now this book has come as a shock to many because, I mean, Sonia and writing a book now, you can't be serious. This is impossible. Unfortunately, the impression I give people is all I know about is L'Oreal, Lancome and Revlon. But But although they are my favorite brands, they don't convey any erudition in me at all. But there's more to me than what meets the eye. My flair for writing and my passion for English literature and poetry was always under the wraps. I always wrote in solitude. I was a solitary reaper, like William Wordsworth would put it. Poetry was an outlet for me, a form of expression. If I'm feeling melancholy or euphoric, I would just go and, vent and in the form of a poem or an article. But it was for myself. I wrote in silence in my room. Nobody saw it. I never shared it. So that was something that I enjoyed doing. It gave me immense joy. But I remember 2 occasions where I had sent my article on ZTV some years back, and they read it on ZTV Live, and they sent me a prize. That was one thing. And the other thing was one of my article was read on live radio out of Florida 2 years back in the US. So that was a little feather in my cap, but nothing big until I penned this book. When I went, this is something that was a big project, and I went public. But I cannot talk about my book without talking about my father, Mr. Jerome Swami, because he was a very big influence in my literary journey and my greatest inspiration. My dad passed away in 2020 of September 2020. Many of you here had the pleasure of personally interacting with him. My dad was a loco pilot in the railway, and he put in 38 years of meritorious service. But my dad had a multifaceted personality. There were many layers to his persona, and one was his obsession and craze for English literature, poetry. He was an avid reader. I mean, he read extensively across genres. Any spare time he had, he would dive into the pages of a new book. He was not just a voracious reader, but Dad was also a very prolific writer. In his own humble way, in his own modest way, he used to write regularly in the local newspaper, and his articles were very appreciated and acknowledged by people. They used to enjoy reading his articles. But my dad was also a nature lover. He had written this beautiful article, I remember, Patch of Green, and that was so beautifully written. I have all the collection of all his writings, and I have treasured them, and people just loved it. He won an award for that. So my dad was so obsessed, like even books were his life. They were his magnificent obsession. Another thing my dad was obsessed was with quotations. I mean, he would quote from memory, all the poets and the renowned authors, the presidents. He had a quotation for every situation. I remember his quotes by Arnold Glasgow, the American humorist. He used to say, success is not a result of spontaneous combustion. You have to set yourself on fire, he would say. And another one on success by Abraham Lincoln. He was a big fan of Abraham Lincoln, and he would say that always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other one thing. And I can go on and on. One more by Lawrence Darrow. He would say, the pursuit of truth will set you free, even if you never catch up with it, end quote. So my dad, he would write quotations everywhere on pieces of paper and behind business cards. He was so obsessed. And my dad and I shared a fantastic rapport because we both had the same interest. And he imparted a lot of knowledge to me, and I would give him my own feedback and inputs on his own writings. So I can literally, I remember him and those conversations we used to have about literature, and we used to critique each other's work. His friends used to say, Jerome, you need to write a book now. So he would say, yes, I will write a book. But in the year 2000, my dad got a stroke, and that was a huge setback for him. His right side was affected, and he lost his ability to write. And I moved to the US, and I couldn't help either. But today I'm standing here before you, fulfilling my own dream of writing a book. But in the sense, I fulfilled his dream as well. All the quotations that I just quoted found itself in my book. That was my way of paying tribute to my dad. And I wanted to continue his legacy through my writings. And I miss him today. It would have been a big day for him and me. It would have been a red letter day for my dad and me. He's not with me, but he's smiling from heaven that I have achieved this on behalf of him as well. So definitely I have to mention my father. He shaped me, and my whole literary journey. Today I am what I am is because of my dad. So I have to talk about him. Now people ask me, why did I write about this theme, this topic of special needs people in India? That is a major theme in the book, and it runs throughout the book. But there's another theme, very important, equally important, and that is the value and importance of relationships in our lives. One connection, one friendship can be life-changing and transformative. And that's what happens in my book. There are these two women, my characters, and two main characters who are strikingly different, and they come together and they form this unbreakable bond. Their camaraderie blossoms into this friendship that transcends all barriers of age, caste, religion, language even, and academics. And this is what I wanted to show in the book, that I wanted to show the power of friendship, what a friendship can do in a person's life. And I want us to retain that, because today's day, technology seems to have taken over and replaced our relationships. The devices have replaced our relationships, and I wanted to show that in the book. So there are these two main themes juxtaposed together, and they intertwine and they're interwoven throughout the book. I structured it like that. So the theme of friendship and relationship against the backdrop of disability. Now, why the topic of disability? Now, quickly, I will just take you to my childhood as a 5-year-old, way back. And there was this person whom I interacted with. She was a special needs person, elderly person, and she had a mobility challenge, and she was the neighbor of my grandma. And I used to interact with this person. Now, this person was an epitome of love and warmth, and she used to shower me with her love, and she used to dote on me. So my 5-year-old mind was shaped in such a way that I developed this profound affinity for this community. I associated love with the special needs community, and I wanted to be with them, and I wanted to interact with them. I wanted to, work with them. So that person, of course, passed away in 2013. I was still in touch with her till the end, and call her up from the US, and her struggles. It was so poignant, but that interaction stayed with me throughout my life. And as I was growing up, I saw many things that bothered me a lot and troubled me. The stereotyping, the bias, the discrimination, the lack of accessibility to infrastructure, the lack of inclusivity in every areas of their life, be it public spaces or education, employment opportunities. So the special needs community is either ignored or patronized. And all this used to bother me. I never spoke of it, never told anybody. I bottled it up and bottled it up. And then I went to the US. There I saw a very different scenario. There the special needs community are blessed. I mean, there is no comparison between their life and here. And I wanted that for my people in India, at least to some extent. And I couldn't hold it in anymore. I just couldn't. I said, I have to do something. I have to say something. And I decided to do something about it. And that moment marked the genesis of my book. And, but I wanted to do it in a way that is engaging and not confronting. I didn't want it to rub it in people's faces with a heavy hand. I wanted to do it uniquely through storytelling. So I came up with this storyline and I sketched each character, the dialogues, the minor characters, the whole plot and how I was going to start and how I was going to end and the punchlines, and I peppered it with humor. So I made a complete package, okay? Very entertaining, at the same time didactic. So you're reading it, you're enjoying it, but you're getting the message. So I wanted to achieve that. And I started penning the chapters one after the other. I penned about 15 chapters in 4 months. I started writing this book in January 2024 in California, of course. I was there and I was getting my feedback from my writer friends in the US and they were enjoying the story. And things were going great. And then in the month of April, I spoke to my mom, my mother, and she was having some health issues and she was awaiting some test results. And the test results showed positive for cancer. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. And that really devastated me and completely shattered me. My son and I booked the tickets and we flew down here. So suddenly my life trajectory changed from writing a book to in and out of INLACs and Ruby Hall with CTC scans and PET scans. And so I used to sit there and I thought, like, just like my father, my book also will remain a dream. It will never come to fruition. And I gave up on my book and I aborted the mission and I totally, it was out of my mind and I was single-handedly handling the serious, dire health crisis that was staring in my face. So I just gave up. But my son here, he comes to me and says, Mom, you cannot do this. You cannot throw 15 chapters of hard work, research out of the window. I know how hard you worked on this project and how important it is for you to complete this. You have to complete what you have started. I said, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. I am in no frame of mind to write a book. You can see, that we are in such a dire situation here. How do you expect me to write a book? So he would go back, but he kept coming and he kept coming. So much so that he convinced me. And I got the impetus to write, and I don't know how, it was God, providence, that I completed the last 7 chapters of this book, believe it or not, in the lobbies of Ruby Hall and in Lax. When my mom used to be resting after surgery, I used to, edit my work. Late in the night, whole day I used to be in the hospital, late in the night, and Kevin worked very hard with me, very hard. He was proofreading for me, he was doing all the technical part as well. But sometimes I used to really vent all my frustration on him. I used to tell him, I don't know why I listened to you. I don't know why. This book is sucking the life out of me. Why did you make me write it? And I used to really vent all my frustration on him. And he had the worst of it, the poor guy. And then he would say, he won't say anything. He would say, one day you'll thank me. I said, I don't know when that one day is coming, but right now I'm dying here because of this book. And I used to really vent, but that day has come, Kevin. And I am thanking you publicly because my son didn't give up on my dream. I gave up, but my son didn't give up. And today I'm standing here before you. I finished the manuscript. Of course, I met Anaga, who did, I was very happy. I met her and we started working on the book. And my book was released on the 25th of December, on a Christmas day, which I will never forget. Last year it was so significant. And so in my own humble way, in a very modest way, I have endeavored to make a change in people's life, even if it's in a modest way. I did something. There are many here who are doing a lot to change people's life, like Radhya here. Radhya will be talking in a minute. Radhya and Mridula, both of them. Radhya has not only made a difference in her special needs sister, whom she dearly loves, Rashu, but she's making a difference in many other people like Rashu. And kudos to you, Radhya. I have celebrated families who have stood by their special needs, child, sibling, and friend, whoever. I salute you. I salute you. Kudos to you in the book and personally. I am so, so awed, and God bless you for that. There are many here who are making a difference, like Vishwas. He's working with the villagers. He's doing a lot of work to make a difference in those poor farmers' lives, and of course Goretti of uplifting women, and so many people are doing their bit. So I would like you to also join me in this. Maybe you could just send a link of my book to somebody. I know all are not avid readers, and there are many who I've met, they don't like to read. I said, okay, but you can buy the book and give it to someone who can read. So do that. Send a link, you know, and come on board with me on this journey. Thank you very much for your undivided attention. Of course, you didn't have a choice, you signed up for this. So thank you very much. And now I will hand over the mic to Merlin for the next segment of this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia, for sharing your heartfelt journey with us. Our first guest speaker for this evening is Dr. Maria Goretti Gonzalez. Dr. Maria Goretti is a member of the Theresian Association, an international Catholic association for the laity, which is present in 30 countries worldwide. The Theresian Association is a religious group of women and men who work for the promotion of the human person through education and culture. Ms. Goretti is presently appointed as the director of the Asian sector of the Theresian Association, which includes different countries like Japan, Taiwan, Malaysia, Israel, India, and Jordan. Dr. Goretti has served for 32 years as a college professor, first in St. Vincent's College of Commerce and later in Vidya Bhavan College of Commerce. She specializes in human resource management and has taught management and business administration both at the undergraduate and the postgraduate levels. In the last few years of her profession, she served as the principal of the Vidya Bhavan College, from which she retired in 2021. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Goretti Gonzalez.
Thank you, Merlin, for that introduction, and thank you, Sonia, for inviting me to be one of the speakers at this book launch. If any of you are surprised that I am one of the speakers, perhaps you are, because I am not really in the English or literary field, I think I could be more surprised than you. No one can be more surprised than me. When Sonia approached me, I said, could you not find someone more, who is in the line of book publishing or literature. And she said, no, 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 Goretti, you will do fine, you will do fine. So I said, still I give you a chance for some time. She said, no, no, you please, if you can accept it, I will be grateful. So it took me a few days to say yes to her. But I was really thrilled and excited because she really spoke so passionately. And this theme that she chose is somehow close to my own heart. And I was very much wanting to encourage her. Perhaps the credential I could give myself for speaking today is that as a child also, I was an avid reader of different books, genres and so on, because my dad also influenced us a lot to read good books and even supervised what books we were reading. Though he wanted to shape our minds with good values and so on, so he would tell us this book is not appropriate for you to read and so on, especially the romance books. But quietly when Dad was not around, my siblings and I used to read all kinds of books, and quietly we used to comment about them, and we enjoyed that. But today I'm glad for that. And after listening to Sonia's her journey as well as her explanation of her book, I feel that whatever I'm going to say is going to be an anticlimax. However, it's coming from a different person, and maybe that can be interesting also. So when she told me the title of the book, that was the first thing that intrigued me. Why this title, But I said, let me read the book and not ask questions beforehand. So I will keep to my text, otherwise I can go rambling on and on. So thank you for this privileged task, Sonia. And I found the book very enthralling, to say the least, because somehow, as she also said, it's a package of fiction which has a plot, it has a storyline, it also has drama, because it builds up your curiosity and interest as you go along the pages. It has a lot of love, and not romantic love, but love which is really genuine and true. It has wit, and it has wisdom. I was telling Sonia, there's so much of wisdom in many of the things. Perhaps that is what she got from her father's writings and from her father's influence. So, the story, of course, revolves around this friendship between the two women. And we already know that one of these women, Rachel Arana, is having a disability, but with the support, very, very good and close support of her family. And in spite of the physical and societal challenges that she faces, she achieves remarkable success and establishes herself as an academician and respected author. Geeta Raheja, the other woman, starts her journey as a beautiful and conventional bride, seemingly living the perfect life. But her world takes an unexpected turn when she encounters Rachel. And the meeting sparks a transformation in Geeta's life, leading her to question societal norms, her purpose, and the deeper meaning of relationships. As their friendship blossoms, the novel delves into contrasts and commonalities between their lives. Rachel's resilience and humor becomes a source of inspiration for Geeta, while Geeta's charm and idealism offer Rachel a refreshing perspective. Together, they navigate their personal battles, learning from one another and growing as individuals. The story captures the duality of hardship and resilience. Dr. Rachel, despite being physically challenged, has not allowed her disability to define her. Her achievements and literary contributions are significant, making her a respectable figure in society. And her interactions are inspiring, which serve Geeta as a testament to her strong will and determination. In the novel, Dr. Rachel is not just a victim of her circumstances, but she's a fighter, having faced innumerable challenges related to her disability. She is deeply passionate about her work, about her writing, and she has great strength and courage required to face the societal prejudices and physical barriers. Geeta Raheja, on the other hand, enters the story as a beautiful woman with traditional values. However, as she encounters Rachel, her life takes a significant turn, and she begins to realize that society marginalizes those who are different. Through her friendship with Rachel, Geeta begins to see the world from a new perspective, leading her to a personal growth and transformation. Thus, the Thorn-Bush symbolizes the hardships and barriers that Rachel faces in life, while the Wildflower represents the beauty and resilience that can emerge despite these obstacles. Together, they signify the transformative power of friendship and love. The book captures several key themes. It's kind of a bit of a repetition about disability and societal perception, friendship and transformation, resilience and growth, and personal growth and transformation. Humor also is there throughout the book, and Rachel's sharp intellect and playful banter with Geeta add a light-hearted touch to the narrative which warms the heart. It also makes the story engaging and relatable. The other key themes that run through the plot are family dynamics. Both Rachel and Geeta's families play crucial roles in their lives. They support and the support and struggles within their families provide a deeper understanding of their motivations and challenges. As Rachel says, with a family on your side, half the battle is won. Inner strength. Rachel's inner monologues and reflections offer insights into her strength and perseverance, her ability to find joy and purpose despite her challenges, and this is a recurring theme. Social commentary. The book does not shy away from critiquing societal attitudes towards disability and the need for change. It encourages readers to reflect on their own perceptions and biases. The narrative explores the broader context of disability in India. Through Rachel's experiences, the book highlights the systemic challenges faced by disabled individuals, including accessibility issues, lack of support services, and prejudices. The critical examination brings attention to the need for greater inclusivity and understanding in society. Through the lens of Rachel and Geeta's friendship, the novel encourages readers to reflect on their own perceptions of disability and the importance of empathy and understanding. For example, I would like to quote certain texts which call the reader to self-introspect on our attitudes towards the differently abled. For example, Rachel's anguished question to her father, "Papa, why is it that I have no friends and nobody wants to be my friend?" And again, Rachel says, "I was invisible to Geeta. It was like I wasn't there at all. She would look right through me." These types of dialogues and these types of questions raise one's own understanding or awareness that perhaps we also are guilty of doing this at times, making others invisible or befriending only people who are abled. And in another part also, the book speaks about abled people with disabled hearts. So sometimes Rachel asks the question, I would prefer to be a disabled person with a good heart rather than be a abled person with a disabled heart. So these kind of questions really draw attention to the values that we have personally and as a society. Some personal perceptions. The novel is written in the first person by Dr. Rachel Arana as if it was an autobiography. I really am amazed how Sonia has got into the skin of the protagonist and has captured meticulously the experiences and feelings of Rachel, putting herself in the shoes of a person with a physical disability and bringing home a message that is so important for us in this fast eats slow society of today. The friendship between Rachel and Geeta also helped them to complement and complete each other as individuals. It somehow equates and makes them equal in giving and receiving. Rachel is the force that inspires Geeta and catapults her into greater maturity and growth at an earlier stage in her life, while Geeta blossoms gradually and becomes the wind under the wings of Rachel and a motivating spirit that brings meaning into her life, but at a later stage in her life. Finally, the last chapter, the divine author, particularly drew my attention. This chapter speaks about God's intervention in the lives of the two protagonists, Rachel and Geeta, who, though so different in age, character, and circumstances, are brought together to be companions and even sisters in this journey called life. It has a deep wisdom as it speaks about the journey called life, which has its ups and downs, but the divine author ensures that we are not alone on this journey and sends persons who love and care for us and circumstances that help us move ahead, tending towards hope and transcendence. So I really congratulate Sonia for this beautiful and enthralling novel, and I really agree with her that it makes a very good gift, and also it can be a book that one can give very happily to persons who we care for, our students and those who are entrusted to our care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Goretti, for those wonderful words. I now invite our next speaker, Mrs. Radhia Goel. Mrs. Radhia Goel's journey has been profoundly shaped by her sister, Rashu, and their deep emotional bond. From the time she was in the 10th grade, Radhia poured her heart into volunteering at a special school. By the time she graduated with a degree in child development, she was already envisioning her next steps. After her specialization from the Spastic Society of the UK, Mrs. Radhia dedicated 9 years to a special school, always by Rashu by her side. In 1997, a serendipitous meeting with Mridula changed everything. What began as a close friendship flourished into a vibrant partnership, catalyzing the birth of Prayatna. For the past 27 years, Radhia and Mridula have poured their hearts into running a center that supports children, young adults, and adults with diverse special needs. Today, they celebrate an incredible milestone along with 13 other adult students. Rashu proudly earns a stipend working at their flagship initiative, Cafe DIL. Together, they are not just making a difference, they're crafting a legacy of hope and empowerment. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mrs. Radhia Goel.
Thank you for that introduction. That introduction always makes me really very emotional because it's just too close to heart, and it is a personal journey that I've had with Rashu. So while reading the book, Sonia, it just kept taking me back to every moment in my growing up years. When you mentioned that you were 5 when you first met a person with a challenge, I think I must have been that old when I realized that my sister was different. So I could really relate to a lot of things in the book, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it now. It has just been an incredible experience reading about it. So just a few thoughts, I won't take up too much time. First of all, the name of the book. I really love the name of the book, because generally in the 27 years that Mridula and I have been working, we have come across many people who have written books on challenges and people with disabilities, and generally they are parents. It's very rarely come from a third person like, Sonia sharing her experiences with what she has seen, not necessarily having seen it in her family. So this is a new one, it was really nice to see the empathy coming from a person who has not really dealt with special needs in the family, or even very close in the family, if not the immediate family. So the book really gives you a very good vibe, and you want to pick it up and read it, because it's not very preachy. It's not like a documentary. It's not like somebody telling, one parent telling another parent that this is how you need to deal with things. This is how I dealt with it, and I'm going to help you deal with your issues and your problems. So it's not like that. And when you said, Sonia, that you were hoping that through all the drama and the complex emotions and the relationships that you have dealt with in the book, you were hoping that you get the message across. Well, you certainly have, Sonia. It does very strongly bring across the message that dealing with disabilities, dealing with challenges can be a part of your daily life, can be very positive in itself. I agree that when I say that dealing with disability can be positive, there is always an underlying emotion of why me? It can be coming from a parent, it can be from your siblings, from her siblings, from anyone, but there is always going to remain that question, why me? Even if people turn around and, always say that, you guys are blessed, you've got a special person, you've got such divine strength, it's all fine, but there is always an underlying emotion there, which, comes up at certain times, and you do feel that, oh gosh, I can't deal with this anymore. But then you get back on the right track and you start doing things like we do at our center, and keep focusing on the abilities all the time, and not let yourself go down that road of depression or of negativity. The second one thing that came across very strongly to me, and which describes what people with challenges go through, is the moment when Rachel met with the accident, and the two are having a conversation, and Geeta tells her that, thank God you don't have a scar on your face, because that would have spoiled your face. And Rachel turns around and tells her, what difference will it make? So that really shows you the underlying emotion of a person with challenges, of a person with disability, because within themselves they constantly know that they are different. They will not be like a person, like another so-called normal human being, and there is always that feeling of inadequacy and lack of self-confidence. And how beautifully Geeta tells her, why would you say that? It matters to me how beautiful you look. And that in itself, I felt was the message of the book, where if you show that it matters to you, then the person who has the, challenge or the disability really feels valued and feels that, yes, I do make a difference in somebody's life. Otherwise, it's very easy for them to exist day to day, being helped by somebody to bathe, being helped by somebody to use the washroom, being changed, being told what to do, being told what to wear. It's so easy to do that. But the minute you realize that you value that person, immediately the fact that you need to give them choices, you need to ask them how they feel, you need to ask them how they, what they would like to do, a simple thing like that, that's when the change will really happen. So I'm really, I was very moved by that moment there. And the third last thing that I would like to point out is the poem written by the father. That poem really moved me because in a nutshell, it describes the life of a family that has a person with special needs. Because, the parents' only aim there is to enable their child to be the best that they can be, to keep making, most people stop doing, I wouldn't say stop doing, most people really don't need to do anything much after their child has graduated. Because by then they are adults, they move on, they have lives of their own, they are making their own choices. Yes, parents are always there to support them, I'm not denying that. But for a person, for a parent who has a child with a disability, they will always remain children. It's very difficult. They cannot let go. The child always is going to need their support, and the parents' only aim there is to make that child's life as enriched as possible, make them do things for themselves and make them as independent as possible. So these were the three really striking things that, appealed to me while reading the book. And like I said, it was a very highly emotionally charged journey for me when I read that book. So thank you, Sonia, for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts with you all. And well done, Sonia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Radhia, for sharing your real-time, real-life experience and your thoughts about the book. I think it has also got into our minds, and we will definitely keep in mind the things you said about how to value people who are disabled and not think of them as disabled but just different, but they still value them. Our next guest speaker for this evening is Miss Vereen Vegas. So yeah, Miss Vereen Vegas is an inspiring figure also within the Theresian Association, a renowned international Catholic organization. At the young age of 29, Vereen faced an extraordinary challenge, a cerebral stroke that resulted in a brain hemorrhage while she was pursuing her postgraduate studies in psychospirituality at the University of Chicago. Rather than allowing this setback to define her, Vereen decided and emerged as a resilient survivor, using her experience to fuel her passion for helping others. Her commitment to education is evident from her time as a high school and junior college teacher of English and Social Sciences in Pune. She continues to make a difference as a school counselor at St. Anthony's High School in Sholapur Bazaar. Vereen's story is one of strength, compassion, dedication, and never giving up, making her a guiding light for many in her community. Let's put our hands together and invite Miss Vereen.
A very good evening to one and all. Respected Sonia Swami, first of all, our distinguished author, the distinguished speakers, Goretti and Radhia, the publishers, and all the dear guests, and most of all, I am both humbled as well as nervous because I have my principal and professor here, Dr. Ashton. So it's an honor for me to speak, having Sir in front. And also Trevor Martin, because he was also a professor at that time in Warriors when I was a student. Okay, first of all, on the outset, I express my gratitude for this opportunity to share on this special occasion, as the topics we are dealing with are very close to my heart, as they are to Sonia's and all of us. So I feel both privileged and humbled to be here. A big thank you to God, most of all, especially to Sonia, who has been his instrument, who invited me and asked me to speak. Mine is not going to be an intellectual discourse or critical appreciation or critique of any kind, no? Or an expert view or on the technical or literary nature of the book, which is ably done by our speakers already. But as I said to Sonia, when she invited me to speak, it is a sharing, it's going to be a sharing straight from the heart of one who has felt it and feels it in the flesh. And speaking from the heart, there are many things, no? There are many emotions, many stories, many faces. So I'm going to keep to my script, otherwise we can take all night. No? So I'll keep to my script as I promised. As I began to see resonances and identify myself with Rachel, there was so much, so I truly had to discern and bring here the aspects that I feel most important to send home the message the book is intended to give. My sharing today has three parts, namely, first, an introduction that I am on at now. The second is the main body of the sharing, connecting my experiences to the book, its line of thought, anecdotes, etc., to my own concrete life experiences as a person with special needs. And the third is a short conclusion. So, without much ado, after this short introduction, I straight off move to the second part, that is the main body of the sharing, connecting the book to my life experiences as a person with special needs. I can identify with nature in many ways, but one thing different between us is the fact that Rachel was always a person with special needs, while I, as was said in the introduction, was able-bodied till 29, and thereafter became disabled or a person with special needs. I henceforth will use either one of these terms. And it has been a challenging journey, not just in practical aspects, but also in the whole aspect of the change in perspective, mentality, and the processes along the way to reach a comfort level at which I am today. So, in a way, I am full of admiration of our esteemed author, who herself, not being a person with special needs, as said by the other speakers, has captured so delicately, I would say, the essence of what it is to be a person with special needs and the challenges involved, as she so realistically sketches the complexity of not just the protagonist, but all the other characters involved, without a stint, without a hint of submissiveness or aggression or any blame game that could set in. Instead, there is a dignified assertiveness that brings home a powerful message of respect, dignity, and inclusion without being apologetic either. There is no apologetic tone. I connect with the strength, positive outlook, and determined, dignified mindset of Rachel and can relate it to coming from Sonia's rich experience of both the Indian and the US context. The fine-tuning of small expressions, terminologies, sensitivity about accessibility connect with my heart instantly, as I have experienced living as a person with special needs, both in India and in the US. Coming to the aspect of identity, Rachel says in the book, disability is only a diagnosis. It does not define who we are as individuals. This is so true, as due to societal biases, often the focus while viewing the person is only the one aspect, not the person in his/her totality. Here, I go one step further and can say it is part and parcel of who I am, but that's not all that I am. This being a person with special needs, I can say with sincerity, rounds off my identity and even my personality, if I may say. I call the process from being able to disabled my stroke of enlightenment, as it has changed me in so many ways for the better, besides in many ways making me a beacon of hope in a world often bereft of hope. It has been a process not without its struggles of growing in a mature, wise attitude of being comfortable to discern when help is needed and when I can do things on my own, and the best way to do it. Just as Rachel, who communicated with all around, I too, who was reserved before, timid I would say, find it very natural to communicate with people from all strata now, right from the street to the elite. It is an instant connect. Everybody comes around, offering help, giving suggestions, and I'm comfortable with that now. That was a process also. And here I see my God-given purpose of being hope through my special interactions in the day-to-day, and moreover in my profession as a counselor. Like Rachel, I too have experienced that children understand the best. They are not biased. They see you as you are. My interaction with children at school and in my neighborhood have been both like Rachel's, both enduring and refreshing. Now, down to some anecdotes that connected with Geeta's disbelief of Rachel being a professor, author, PhD, etc. I too have several anecdotes kind of similar, but I can't relate all of them, but I have picked up a few. After my stroke, I continued to study and work right through. But I remember one incident. There is this middle-aged lady who knew me since childhood, and now some years back, out of genuine concern, I don't doubt her intention, repeatedly, whenever she met me, would say, "Poor one, what happened to you? You must be so bored sitting at home, doing nothing, with nothing to do." I tried to politely explain to her that I was working, besides had many things to do. But she couldn't get it. Fortunately for me, she came to my school for some business one day and happened to see me in my office with a line of students waiting to see me, and she said, "Oh," and that did the trick. No questions came again after that. So I didn't need to explain more, it was clarified. Another experience. On one occasion, I accompanied one person from my community to a hospital emergency room, and without asking it, it was assumed that I was the patient, and immediately a wheelchair was brought and I was being cajoled to sit on it until I protested a bit, pointing to the actual patient who was able-bodied naturally. No? Another time in the hospital emergency room with my critical mother, a relative had to sign consent papers. As the closest relative there, I went up. They scanned me from top to toe and said, "Isn't there anybody else?" I looked at my brother-in-law who was present there, and with a knowing glance at me, he said, "She will sign." And that was it. I also, just like the book, believe that in India over the years, there is more acceptance, awareness, and a changing tide from pity and a patronizing attitude to more respect, dignity, and even slowly a shift to valuing persons with special needs. But we have a long way to go, starting from our families, communities, and the education system. The next aspect I want to touch is the aspect of family attitude and support. The encouragement of Rachel's father and support of her siblings and family made a big difference. I too, on my part, have similarly been blessed with full trust, encouragement, and support from my family, though it wasn't easy for them either. They have stood by me at all times through the thick and thin. Here, I want to explain, it was already explained, but I want to say something here. I want to explain who I mean by family, of course. First of all, my biological family, my mother and older sister, who are now in heaven and surely looking down and smiling, but have been and continue to be a pillar of strength. Then, also, the support of my brother-in-law, who I mentioned already, nephew and niece, has been and continues to be indispensable in my journey. I do not have only one family backing that is of my biological family, but also the full support of my family of the Theresian Association, which was already explained earlier, of which Goretti is a member and whom we live together in community, whose members dedicate their lives to God in service through their mission in the fields of education and culture. I won't say more because Merlin already said that, explained that. I have been a member since the age of 18, long before my disability. This family of choice has been an oasis in the midst of many a desert in my life, with constant material, spiritual, emotional accompaniment. It has always given me a positive, secure environment in which, and not just where I could merely exist, but where I could thrive and contribute as a valued member. Now, I don't want to bore you more and make you sleepy. Now I come to the third part of my sharing, the conclusion. Thus speaking, Thorn-Bush and the Wildflower affirm my values, many values that I have imbibed through the challenges I face. So I am sure that the book will not only bring about awareness about persons with special needs and helping bring a slow but sure change in mindset in a very simple, natural way, but be a thought-provoking dart. But also, I'm sure, it will reaffirm and build a great sense of respect and dignity in persons with special needs and those who care for them. I see it as a beacon of light and hope along a path full of challenges and steeped in hues of grey, as it's a challenge not just for the persons with special needs, but for all who mean well and try to offer their support to the best of their ability. But all said and done, the line between being respectful, caring, and patronizing is very thin. What we need is not pity, but sensitivity, yet with dignity. The best person to perceive what she needs at that moment is the person with special needs, himself or herself. It is a whole life's process for the person to develop the attitude of discernment, when to independently handle situations and when there is the need to ask for help. Allow the person to make mistakes, learn from experience, and create her own pathways. Give space for new learnings and raising the bar for themselves, which all of us do in the process of learning in our own lives, even as able-bodied persons. The person and all in the process will discover surprises that will be both uplifting and encouraging. Now, coming to the direction for me from the book. I have written several articles, given talks and sessions on the topic and topics related, but personally I can say today, for me, the encounter with Rachel, the protagonist in the book, has reignited the flame of a dream I carry within of myself writing a book of my own journey as a personal with special needs. God willing, someday it too will come to pass. Going back especially to the tree, speaking Thorn-Bush and the Wildflower, I feel it is a gem in this quest, not for uniformity, but for an equality based on dignity, respect, and inclusion. My best wishes to our author, Sonia, and the publisher. A blessing straight from the heart for the thumping success of the book, and maybe more to come, for every endeavor that strives to make our world more inclusive and a better place for all. I conclude, now I finally do, with the words I often say to my students: life is beautiful. Always be hopeful. No matter what, never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Viren. Those wonderful words, I think, really has touched each and everybody here. And we have felt what you've gone through, and we were really empowered, and we will take home with us a few of the examples that you shared with us. And whenever we see or come across or come into a situation where we have to make a choice, let us make a choice out of sensitivity and respect and dignity, and not out of pity. And just like your brother-in-law, we'll say, yes, that person's going to do it. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I will now invite Sonia for a question and answer session. And if you have any questions, please put it out there, and she's here to take it all up.
Before we go into the Q&A session, I would like Dr. M.D. Lawrence and Dr. Aston to say a few words. I cannot let them go away before without saying a few words. So, sir, Dr. Aston, one of you can come and yeah, please say a few words. This is my most favorite teacher, former principal from Nauroji Wadia College. My sir, my favorite. Sir had a lot of fans, and I'm one big one. And also Nisha there, and Viren is here. So he is a man who is renowned in the academic circuit.
All the nice things that Sonia said about me is only because she is a very nice person. Friends, it is indeed a matter of great honor and pride for me to be at this book launch ceremony of Sonia Swami. Much has been said about the book, so I will not repeat whatever has been said, but I definitely would like to tell you that Sonia Swami came into Nauroji Wadia College as a little girl, and now I see her as a celebrity. So that's a great satisfaction, great honor for the teachers. I always feel and I always say to my teachers at refresher courses that in the life of a teacher, student is the most important person. I always use the word, they are actually our annadata. I always say they are the bread givers. And therefore, I'm not going to go into the duties of a teacher, but I must tell you that a teacher is known by the good things and the progress the student makes. In the sense that I become a parent because of my children, but the relationship, I am this person's father, changes at a certain time, and I say, I am this person, is not my son, but he is I am his father. Do I say I am his father? No. I say this person's father is me. In the same way, I would not say Sonia Swami is my student, but I am saying that the other way. I am recognized by the good things done by my students. And Sonia, I am really proud. I remember you as a little girl, I think more than 3 decades ago. And let me tell you, my friends, many of my very good friends are here, Professor Lawrence, Trevor, and many others. You all must have seen her as a college going or later on, but I have always been impressed. You know, teachers can't remember the names of all the students. It becomes impossible. But certain names remain in the minds forever. And I have Sonia Swami's name engraved in my mind forever, because she was a very talented, very hardworking, very nice person, humble, good behavior. And I remember seeing your dad also. He had come to the college once. I have met him. You come from an excellent family. You have the blessings of your father, your mother, and all your well-wishers. I think in your life, you have gathered many more well-wishers, and I am very happy that her son Kevin is also here. He also has helped. She has got a wonderful husband who has also been very cooperative. My friends, it's very, very, one has to be lucky to have this all together. Sometimes I have seen my colleagues, I have seen teachers getting jealous because the students are doing better. You may think I am speaking nonsense, but I have worked with such. But it is very useful and necessary, and things become more productive if husband, wife, children, they all have one understanding And Sonia, you're really lucky to be in this family, and your husband, your son are so cooperative. And the book, what I heard many people speaking, I can only say one thing, that this novel written by Sonia is more a didactic novel. It is going to teach us readers, it is going to teach everyone what one should do when you face certain situation, maybe of some physical illness or otherwise, but how you can overcome the hurdles. And your characters, Rachel as well as Geeta, have overcome the hurdles. They have become the best of friends. They have become the best of chums. They can exchange, they can understand, and that is what we require in our lives. And I want to say, I was a little reluctant in coming to this function because of health, but I want to thank my very dear friend Trevor Martin, who kept on ringing me up and telling me, you must come, and here I am. Sonia, I owe a lot to Trevor Martin also. And thank you, Sonia, for coming back. And please come back, please visit Wadia College. And I want to tell you that if you care, if you share, it gives a lot of satisfaction. I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes of yours. After my retirement or even earlier, I have been a chairman of an organization that is American Joint Distribution Committee. I visited US on 3 occasions. We do a lot of sectarian and non-sectarian work. This is purely honorary, not a single penny. On the contrary, we contribute. At the moment, we have adopted a hutman at Kalwa in Thane district. Those people staying there are all rag pickers. And when we made a study, we realized that the children of these rag pickers are eventually going to be rag pickers. So we formed a group, we contributed whatever each one could, we picked up on those children and we got them admitted in a school, 700 children. And we found that most of the children were falling ill because there was no proper medicine. So we started with a small little dispensary. Now we have a proper hospital in that, if I can call it, Jhopatpatti. And all the children go to schools in uniform, and now their future is definitely real things that they're going to do. It is decided that they will not be rag pickers, they'll take up some job. So there is lots we can do, and I think after reading this book, you can get inspiration, you can get ideas. My friends, there is nothing like caring and sharing. God bless you, Sonia. God bless you. I pray to God Almighty that you write many more novels and invite us, and we are always ready to come and attend your programs. And I go back to my seat as a proud and a very happy teacher. Thank you.
Dr. Lawrence, can please. I don't know if Trevor wants to say a few words. Trevor, you talk to Dr. Aston, but you're not.
Professor Aston, my very old friend, mentor and guide, the publisher of this wonderful book, Maria Goretti, our friend Rudy, because of whom I became closer to Sonia. He gave me the number. Imagine a relative being distant. So I'm sorry for that, but you are busy in California. I was busy, yeah. And Professor Trevor, Professor Gilby John, and some relatives are here, and friends. 3 things I learned from this book. Offhand I'll tell you, and I assure you that I will not be a thorn in your flesh. I'll be as brief as possible because she wants to do something more important than what I'm going to say. The first thought, Professor Ashton, what came to my mind was that every physical calamity has a divine purpose behind it. And this book completely evolves around it. Secondly, one very famous author of mine, Robert Schuller, he in one of his books called Friendship, I read it in my teenage. He gave one very wonderful message for friendship. Be slow in choosing a friend and slow in changing one. The characters in these books play this role and the author has done it very beautifully. And the third one is that in some of the chapters of the books, we feel that the characters are lonely, lost. So people are lonely for they build walls instead of bridges. After reading this book, once you learn to build bridges of friendship, etc. Now, quickly what I'll do is that I'll go through my script. But before that, I want to express how happy I feel, how proud I feel that my relative, my niece, Professor Ashton calls her a celebrity. She is a celebrity. Please give her a big hand. And one more thing I came to know today, I learned, Professor Ashton, you're an English professor. My wife was your student. So that also I want to place a record. And she'll be very happy that I spent the evening fruitfully in the company of you. So I would like to change with your permission. They say in English, behind every successful man, there is a woman. Behind every successful man, there is a son called Kevin. Please give him a big hand. Friends, this book is not only an insightful read, but also a literary delight. Scattered throughout the chapters are beautifully crafted poems that are observant, inspiring, and deeply reflective. A standout amongst them is My Wildflower, featured in chapter 15. This poem is enriched with similes and other figures of speech and adds poetic depth and emotional resonance to the book. I sincerely thank Sonia for giving me this opportunity to review and speak about her remarkable work, though briefly, because Goretti and all others have wonderfully gone through the whole story. Her writing skills and literary prowess are truly commendable, and I'm incredibly proud of her achievements. I am sure that she will be writing dozens of books. I would like to end with a Hindi couplet for her, to motivate her. लहरों से जो टकराता है उसे तूफान कहते हैं. You heard from her how she remembers her dad, how she is missing her dad, how she spent moments and how her mother is undergoing. And what touched me was that in the corridors of Ruby Hall and Inlax Hospital she has written these books. So just to inspire her and motivate her, लहरों से जो टकराते हैं उसे तूफान कहते हैं. लहरों से जो टकराते हैं उसे तूफान कहते हैं. तूफान से जो टकराते हैं उसे सोनिया स्वामी कहते हैं. Thank you very much.
Trevor Martin, Professor Trevor Martin has also been my professor at the MA English Literature class. He is a teacher par excellence and he taught us Milton and some other novel, I forget now. So Trevor was the choir master. I was in his choir, so I know Trevor very well. So without any further delay, I better give you the mic.
I think there won't be a shorter speaker than me. What I like to say is only when I first read that book, first of all, I don't like reading. I mean, I like to read, but now novels was not so interesting. I mean, somehow I was not really a reader. But when I took her book, it was difficult to put it down. And what I called her is a subtle preacher. She has preached very well, but very subtly. You don't realize that she's preaching. As someone said, didactic. I use a little stronger word, preaching, because that brings out the carefulness and the subtleness with which she has brought out that whole story. Also, the arrangement of the scenes, the movement of the storyline is so well depicted. So I enjoyed it. Now, another thing is, as she said, who would think that Sonia would write all this? But wait, but I feel now that I should bow down to such a character, such a personality who has got such a wide and sensitive vision. Thank you, Sonia.
So we are at the final segment of this event. If anybody has any questions, if there's no question, then we can move forward. I'll just ask myself one question, and that is, they asked me, why did you dedicate this book to your grandfather and not your father? You know, your father was such an inspiration, and but why Joseph Christie? That is because my father had a good rapport with the literature and poetry and all of that, but he was a disciplinarian. Man, he was so strict with me. And my maternal grandfather was an epitome of love and kindness, and he would never say no to me. So he was emotionally very close to me. So I dedicated the book to my grandfather. My father, on the other hand, used to punish me so, he would punish me when I would do a certain thing. But Kevin here gets a pass. I used to tell him, you punished me so much for this same thing, and now you're giving him a pass. So that's the grandfather. So, and my grandfather, incidentally, was also a literary enthusiast. He used to read Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights, and Charlotte Bronte. So Mr. Joseph Christie gets that place because he was very kind and very sweet, and he never corrected me and disciplined me like my dad. So that's the one thing that people ask me. So if there's any other question, otherwise Merlin, you can close for the day.
We've come to an end of this beautiful celebration. Yes, it is truly a celebration for Sonia and for all of us. If you're interested in buying Sonia's book or adding it to your collection, you can purchase a copy from there. It's being sold at, okay, from here. When I came, it was there. Okay, so from here. And another special thing is you can get it signed from her if you want to. And thank you all for coming here and being a really patient, very good audience and listening and not talking in the middle and, making a chaos. But thank you for listening patiently to each speaker because they gave us some really valuable inputs that we can take home and we can keep with us and think about it when we come into situations where we have to make choices that are, so sensitive choices. So let's take home that with us and please help yourself with some refreshments and dive into some engaging conversations with all our literary guests here and with each one of you. Thank you so much.